Hello out there in social media land. Thank you so much for joining us today. This is Jay's What's Up Facebook community page, and my name is Jay, and today it is Thursday, it's July the 9th, and it is 1 o'clock. I'm so excited about my guest, and it is Fran Garten, and she insists on fit, okay? So that is pretty exciting. Yes, it is. So why don't you wave for me, Fran?
Hi.
Yay! Hello. Okay.
Here.
And we're glad to have you here. There's no question about that. Okay, so let me ask you folks right now, have you ever wondered, you know what, in terms of your health and your fitness and things, maybe you have a certain condition or a special condition that you feel that might be not getting you where you want to be in terms of the health realm, and you have this maybe wondering voice like, is it possible for me? Can I do that? And because obviously if you have special conditions, you're concerned about flares, and an example would be like fibromyalgia, for example. Okay, maybe you're 45 plus and you know that we obviously need to look at movement patterns. You want to keep into a healthier realm, want to keep moving in that area, but maybe you're just looking for support. Maybe you're looking for an accountability partner, and you just never know. But again, is it possible? And can I do this? Or maybe you have that little nagging voice that, you know, but, right? We all can have those kind of thought processes, right? And you know what? I'm so excited because my guest, Fran, right? She's going to talk a little more about this particular area. And she's going to talk about too, you know what? It is possible that yes, you can achieve a new you or new levels of you, both physically and mentally, probably emotionally too, I would think, because they all kind of, you know, they all do blend together, right? So please stay here with us. Love to have you. Again, this is my Facebook page, Jay's What's Up. It's a community Facebook page. And really it is designed that I wanted to interview like Fran, right? And really, I just wanted to really help in the community to influence, if I could, the brand and the reach of an individual's business on social media through networking. So guess what? Hashtag collaboration is cool. Okay, so again, you know what, Fran's here. Let's give Fran a big heart here.
I'm giving you a heart.
Right. So what I'd like to do is I'm going to introduce Fran to you, and I'm going to probably read quite a bit. So just bear with me when I look over, because she's got a great background. Okay. So Fran, you not only have one master's, but you have two, which I think is pretty darn cool. And you have a master's in education, curriculum, and development, right? And the second one is in religion and culture. And I know my daughter would love to chat with you.
And I would happily chat with her.
And you also have your Bachelor of Arts, which makes sense, obviously in those same areas, anthropology, religion, and culture. Mm-hmm. And you're obviously certified in teaching English as a second language. So amazing. You have your certifications, and that includes, right, active aging, personal training, pregnancy fitness, which is important because it can be quite different. Barefoot training. I saw that and went, ooh, that would be an interesting topic too, right? You have stress resiliency, pelvic floor specialist. A lot of us want to say hello to you, right? You have workshops, which I know we're going to discuss more, in foam rolling, time management, stress reduction and resiliency. And you're quite healthy in terms of the active lifestyle yourself, because you're doing yoga, belly dancing, it's fun, right? You lift weights, and obviously in the walking piece. Okay. So why don't you tell us, Fran, more about your story, okay? The shift in your journey that took you onto this path of fitness and wellness.
Okay. So, you know, like, as you said, I was an adult educator in English as a second language, and I did that for 16 years. And at the same time, I played roller derby. And so, cool. Yeah, I don't think I put that on my list, but I played roller derby, and I did that for 5 years. And I was actually the head trainer for my team. So that was the driving force becoming certified as a personal trainer, because I thought, if I'm training them, and, you know, just because it's skating, there's other things that you have to do off skates as well. And so I thought it'd be better just to have a good, you know, handle on anatomy and how the muscles work together and the joints and all of that. So that's how I became certified. Then I ended up being asked to teach a boot camp class twice a week. And so I was doing that part-time, and I was doing my training with my team part-time. And then friends found out that I was personal trainer. So I had a couple people ask, would you train me? And so it was kind of like a side kind of,
Yeah.
right? And I never thought anything of it. My goal was never, and I stress this statement because it changes your perspective when you look back on it. I said, I never want to do fitness full time. I remember saying those words a million times. Okay. So I'm teaching, and I was doing that full time, and there were lots of changes that were happening that, you know, when you're in an environment where you are not in control, you really feel that, and the stress is overwhelming. So what happened was I started feeling nauseous, and I started getting headaches. And so I was like eating gravel like candy. And then I remember the Monday morning going to school to teach, and I had to drag myself, and I mean against the wall, to my manager's office. Yeah, because I lost the vision in my eye.
Oh,
And I had a headache, and I was nauseous, and I went upstairs. I'm like, I have to go home. And she said, yep, no problem. She was fantastic. I went home. I ended up spending 4 months, and this is really important as far as dealing with your health. And I want people that are watching and rewatching to listen to this. I spent 4 months in bed with loss of vision in one of my eyes and a migraine continuously. And I mean continuous. The only time it disappeared and the only time I left my house was for someone to take me to a doctor's appointment, specialist appointments, when my husband brought me to emergency department to get medication, like through the veins directly, so that it would knock me out so I could sleep, because I literally had the headache for 4 months.
wow.
Yeah. And so I don't even remember, like, even now when I think about it, I don't even remember those 4 months. Like, I really don't. It's
Probably
just
a good thing.
yeah, yeah. And it was terrifying. But, you know, I found out, I went to an ophthalmologist. The tear, well, it wasn't a retinal tear. It was a leakage of fluid. And I cannot remember the name of this condition, but it's very common, and people get it if they can't deal with their stress. And what happens is the brain usually fixes it, but my brain had decided it had enough, and my body was like, we're not fixing this for you. We're not fixing the vision for you. You're going to have to do something about it. So I quit teaching full time and went down to part time. And at that point, I just didn't do anything with my day. I focused on getting better and getting stronger. I quit teaching boot camp classes. I didn't take any more clients on for personal training. You know, shortly after that, I gave up roller derby. And then I got diagnosed with arthritis and fibromyalgia.
Okay.
Which was a huge event. And for anyone has any kind of chronic illness, and fibro is one of those ones that they just don't know what's going on. Right?
That's right.
They just, you know, they're like, you're fine. And I can't be fine. I had like electric currents going through my hands and my feet and my body.
Yeah.
And it was unbelievable. And the thing is I was at roller derby practice, and I remember this. I crumpled to the floor because I could not stand on my feet anymore. And my teammates had to drag me, like literally drag me off, because I couldn't stand up. And it was unbelievable. And then I got into a rheumatologist, and then they diagnosed me with fibromyalgia. So that kind of is sort of the nutshell of my story.
But that's an incredible story. And there are so many things there that hopefully people can start to relate to and see, right? One, what can happen if you don't manage your stress?
Yes.
Oh my God, the body that's crazy, right? And then, of course, and all of a sudden, these underlying conditions start happening and happening and happening, and what can happen over the long term. So thank you so much for sharing. I think that is pretty crazy. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. And now, you know what? And a lot of people, I mean, we hear the word fibromyalgia, right? And I think it is becoming commonplace a little more, right? A little more.
Mm-hmm.
But again, maybe you could, from, you know, I know doctors too, right? Historically, they've always had a challenge in terms of diagnosing it because they didn't understand it. It didn't fit into the box. So if it doesn't fit into a box that they know, well, it's not real,
Mm-hmm.
right? And
Yeah.
that's crazy. So maybe you could tell us maybe more in terms of what is fibro, maybe how they can diagnose it, or maybe even updates, because I know they have had updates in that area.
Yeah. So, the general definition of fibro is you've got pain in the muscles and the bones. There are particular areas of tenderness. That's one of the ways that, there's conflicting research. Do they diagnose it that way or they don't? Some say 11 out of 18, some say 6 areas out of 9, but you have certain tender points in your body. And then another point of diagnosis is, you have sleep disturbances, you have irregular sleep. Fatigue is, for me, and I think for people that I know that have fibro, it is the number one symptom that you have. And the thing too is that your brain, and this, I was thinking about this when I was deciding how I was going to explain it, but your brain misinterprets, it's oversensitive to stimulus that you get. And so, for example, imagine you're walking down the hallway, let's say, and there's like a table or a bookcase or even the wall, and you kind of bang the top of your hand against that. For you, well, I'm saying for you because I don't know if you have fibro, Jay. And so we'll assume for the minute you don't have fibro, Jay. I'm not going to give it to you. Okay, so you don't have fibro, and you kind of bang your hand, and you go, oh, that kind of hurts, and then it dissipates. Like that's the end of it. For somebody that has fibro, if I did that, it could be intense pain. Like I'm talking 15 out of 10, and it could last all day. It could last into tomorrow. Okay, so that's sort of the hypersensitivity. The nerves just don't know how to respond to the stimulus that it gets, and they overreact. Or for me, I'm extremely light sensitive, really light sensitive. And it's just so intense for me. But that's probably the biggest thing, is that the muscles just don't, and body doesn't know how to respond to things. And it does it in an excessive way. So something that's really small is really huge for somebody that has fibromyalgia, and it affects the muscles, right? And the fatigue, I tell you, I said to my husband this morning, I would like to wake up in the morning and not be tired when I open my eyes. And it's not tired, it's actual exhaustion. Like walking, people that have fibro, and it always depends on where you are and how long you've had it and how you manage it. But for some people, like yesterday, I walked up the stairs, 2 flights of stairs in the house. At the top of the stairs, like, God, I'm tired. Like that just killed me, and I had to wait. It wasn't long, but I still had to wait. And like, okay, now I'm going to sit down, and I had to wait a couple minutes before I get up and do stuff. And so that's kind of what happens with people that have fibro. And when we say we're tired or we have fatigue, people go, yeah. Or I'm in a lot of pain. People go, yeah. And you're like, no, you don't understand. Like you just don't understand, because the fatigue, the exhaustion, lack of sleep, and potentially the pain is never ending. Like there's just not a break. So yeah, so it's kind of,
and it's and as we briefly discussed, like I'm familiar, I have clientele who also have fibro, and my brother has fibro, and so it is, and a very different and unique, and you really have to extend that, okay, what do you need to do and how can we help you through this process, right? Which really then, when you start looking at exercise or movement patterns, people get really scared, because you know what can I do? How do I even start this? Because I don't want to end up in a flare situation. That is the worst thing. And again, if you don't have it, right, you think, oh, I'm not quite sure what that means, but obviously it means quite a bit, right? So maybe you could help us too in terms of how you started to overcome this yourself personally, and to try and get over, or even, I don't know if you get over it, but address the nervousness of it.
It's a great thing. And I think, I decided, this is a difficult question. There's a lot of facets to it, right? Like, okay, so you have to, I have fibromyalgia and I have rheumatoid arthritis, and I've been diagnosed with those, and that's fine for testing and blah, blah, blah. However, I personally do not want to be defined by fibromyalgia. I'm a person who has it. I am a person that deals with it on a daily basis, sometimes real bad, sometimes I'm good. But I do not believe in my heart and my mind that I am a person that is going to not be able to function because I have arthritis and fibromyalgia. It's just not how I want to live my life. I'm turning 49 years old this year. I have a long life ahead of me, and it's going to be a great life. And I refuse to be a victim to that diagnosis. And that's my particular point of view and mindset. But I think that, you know, people need to learn about their body. And for me, and this started actually last year, I saw a bioenergetic practitioner, and he does a lot of stuff with energy in the body, but also with gut health. And so if you have any kind of inflammation in your body, or a diagnosis that is connected to inflammation, okay, you need to get that under control. Yes. You have to get it under control, because if you do not control the inflammation, what happens from a fundamental point of view, the fascia, which are your connective tissues, which allow everything to move, they become sticky and they become like Velcro. So imagine if I have fibro, or if I have arthritis, or whatever, and I'm trying to move my body, but I have inflammation, that it's not going to move. And then when I try to move, it's going to cause pain. So I worked a lot with him, and I started last July working on gut health, and I'm gluten-free and I'm dairy-free and all that, but there was still inflammation in my body. And he actually told me in July, you may not exercise, like you can't even walk, because there was so much inflammation in my body. He goes, when I see you again in 3 months, then we will reassess. And I did nothing. I was not allowed to do anything. He's like, no, because what's going to happen is you're going to have a flare up. You're not absorbing. So this is where the inflammation comes. You're not absorbing the food that you're eating. You're just flushing it out. Like, you're not actually taking any nutrients. You're not taking water in. So you are trying to exercise, feed yourself, not actually use that energy. And then you're in pain. Like, I was in massive pain. So, you know, when it comes to that nervousness, and the mindset is really important. You know, I don't want to be a victim to it. I don't want it to control my life. I need to control what I choose and what I do so that my flare-ups are reduced. And I found through diet, and I don't mean diet, lifestyle, and what I choose to eat, not dieting, right? What I choose to eat and what I don't eat really has impacted my body. So through that whole process, I don't take any meds for my fibromyalgia at all. I've given them all up. Yeah. I used to take an anti-inflammatory every day, and I used to take things at night so that I could sleep. I take nothing. If I have a flare-up, I take Advil. I have topical creams. I use essential oils, you know, peppermint, things like that. But I don't take medication prescribed by a physician or my rheumatologist. I've stopped taking that.
Yeah, good for you.
So, yeah. So food is important. You know, nervousness, I get that. And this morning I did yoga, and then before we came on our call, I was like, my body is not happy. Like, it's very angry because I pushed too hard. So the other thing is, you need to listen to your body, and you need to know your body. I think people don't know their bodies. And
you need to listen, and it's hard if they're not used to it, or they don't know what to listen for or understand that connection.
Yeah. And so go slowly, try a couple things, like, for example, something that people could do if they want to start their movement, try yoga. Yoga's great. Try Tai Chi, try walking. This walking is great, and do it for a week. And I don't mean hard. Like, I'm not talking 12 kilometers, 20 kilometers. I'm like, walk around the block and see how you feel later on that day, and journal it, like write it down.
Yes.
And see how you're feeling, and take note of what you're eating and how do you feel. Because I think for me, and with my clients, but also with me, food is number one. If you are not on top of what you're eating, sugar, get rid of sugar. Sugar causes your fascia to stick together. It causes it to be like Velcro. So think about, I have inflammation. I'm eating sugar. Right there. I have problems moving. Right there. I don't have to even try anything. Daily movements are difficult because my body's already not happy.
Not happy.
So, yeah.
Well, it's interesting because I do know, as I meant, people who have rheumatoid arthritis, people who have all those. And so yes, diet for sure. Research, I'm going to back you up on this one. It's the type of sugar you're looking at. you know, that processy stuff, blah, 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 right? Which is very different than, say, if you're having an apple, but depending on this person's situation. So people have to understand, well, what kind am I looking at? It's the, you know, don't be eating the processed stuff. So yeah, research is huge. And that is a really good story to really stress those particular points. And I think the one that you really nailed too is I love the mental outlook. I love the mindset, because it is important. And people may not even realize that they're falling into a victim mentality unless it's either brought up or awareness is created in that area, right?
Yeah, and it's really difficult too, because, you know, as you're trying to make these changes, you know, you need a support system. You need people in your life that are supporting you. And sometimes they're not, because if you have fibromyalgia, or you have rheumatoid arthritis, or you have any kind of condition, if the people that are in your life, they don't have it, so they don't know, right? They can only take what you say. Like, I say to my husband, I'm exhausted. He goes, yeah, me too. I'm like, and sometimes we argue about it, like, for real, because I'm like, you just don't get it. He's like, I get it. I go, you don't get it, because you don't feel the way that I feel. Like, I'm tired when I get up. How am I tired when I get up? And I've slept all night. Like, and I had a good sleep and I went to bed early, right? Like, I can go to bed at 8 o'clock and get up at 8 o'clock the next morning and sleep through the whole entire night. And I'm exhausted when I get up. Right. So it's really important, your support system.
Yeah, that's
And
right.
so you have to educate the people that are in your life about, you know, what that means. And, you know, I find I'm in some fibro support groups, and it's great to have it. But again, you have to be with someone who has the same mindset as you have, because
Yes.
if their mindset is negative, you get sucked into that. Right. And I'm not negating the pain. I'm not. And I'm not saying it's not a big thing. Fibro is huge, and people deal with it on a daily basis, 24 hours a day. I get that, right? I'm with you. But how you're dealing with it is what's important. And, you know, you do have to decide how you want to move forward in your life. You know, do you want to be a person that's always defined by their fibro? And, you know, day to day, it's different too, right? Like, some days are really great, I feel good, I do lots of stuff. And I know maybe tomorrow won't be so good. So I have to make the choice to maybe say no, or pull back.
And I think those people who are watching and those people who can start to relate, you've given some really good tips and strategies. As we mentioned, the food, I really like the concept of journaling, right? Because if they start to journal and they can go back the last week or 2 weeks to the last month to say, okay, this is what I did on this day. I had a slight flare. I did on this day, and they can start to recognize that line before maybe hopefully they cross into it, so it doesn't get bigger or anything of that nature, right? Yeah, I think that's interesting.
Yeah. So it's about awareness too, right? You do have to become aware of what your body's doing. And I think, like you mentioned, people sometimes, they know they shouldn't do something, or they know they shouldn't have something, or they know I might not feel good when I eat that, but they do it anyway. And you know what? I'm not saying don't do that. I'm just saying, you know, it's not, if someone has a condition that's affected by that, then you have to remember your effects. So myself with fibro, if I do too much, my soreness will be very different than yours. And that can
And
be
what's really important too, right? I think too, is the strategies.
Yeah, for sure.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So the other one, and I know you mentioned, and this is a really good thing in terms of the strategies, is the fact that, you know what, get up to do the walk, which is great, because that was really my next question. Where does somebody start? But you've already answered that question, right? Which is great. Just get up and start to move. I think that's a big one for a lot of them. And the other one too, I was just going to mention too, like, I know you have your online sessions, right? So maybe you can explain a little more in terms of what people can expect if they're going. Now, you're on the Facebook page. I'm assuming that's where they're going live. You had mentioned to Instagram. You can explain more about that. But do people actually need a chair? Do they need equipment? And is it every day? So please, that would be great for everybody.
Yeah. So on Wednesday nights on Facebook and Instagram, whichever platform you prefer, at 7 p.m. Central Time, or Eastern Standard Time, not Central Time, Eastern Time. I do a 30-minute workout for free Okay, and it's on my Facebook page. So it's not on my Insta some feed, it's on my personal page, so it's public. I do a 30-minute workout. If yesterday was on the floor, so a mat's great. Some nights we do a seated workout. Sometimes we, I give options. If you have weights, you can use weights. If you have a water bottle, a book, stuffed animals. I have clients and friends who do it with their kids, and their kids always, so I have stuffies. I'm like, pick 2 stuffies, and that's what the kids use, right? So you don't really need anything. I create the workouts that you can do with no equipment at all.
Excellent. And some people might need to start there.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's always, it's for all levels. I always give modifications. It doesn't matter, what your fitness level is. So if you're just starting out, this is what you can do. And then I say, okay, if you want a little bit more, here's how you can make it more advanced. So it really is geared towards everybody. I do that weekly. So every Wednesday night. Okay. Now I've been doing it since just after COVID started in March. So there's many videos that are there. So you can go there and rewatch those videos. I also have a YouTube channel, so Fran Garten on YouTube, and there are videos on stress management, stress reduction, foam rolling, mobility videos, and also those workouts are there. So there's a lot of content on the YouTube channel as well that people can just access for free.
Good, and they get lots of choice. And I know currently you're holding a foam rolling workshop, or you will be?
Yes. So I usually do those once a month.
Right.
And we do them through Zoom. But I'm happy to, if people are interested, I'm happy to do one. I could do one in yours. Like we could do one 30-minute thing. If people wanted a group, if they had a group that they wanted to do it with, then we'll just set it up. So people can DM me or send me an email, and then we can chat about it and set it up. But I usually do one on my Facebook page once a month through Facebook. It's about 30 to 45 minutes depending.
Okay. Now, if like I have my own foam roller and I have my therapy balls, and so I'm very familiar with foam rolling, and I know too. It's if you've done it, the experience of, you might get a little, ooh, I've got a tight spot in that particular area, and you're like going, breathe, and then it releases and you just go, right? But if you've never done it before, right, maybe you could tell people what to expect in that particular realm, especially if they're nervous, again, regarding a flare.
Mm-hmm. So foam rolling, so I teach the workshops in foam rolling. I've done them at various massage therapy clinics and health and wellness. I've done it with physios and chiros and massage RMTs. And I am very passionate about foam rolling. And the reason I'm passionate about it is, one, it's a great modality. Two, everybody can do it. The purpose is to get the oxygenated bloods into the fascia and break down those knots that you feel, right? But the reason, even more importantly than that, it doesn't matter who I meet, what their job is or what their background is. I have never met anybody who foam rolls correctly.
Right.
They do it wrong. And so I feel, and the reason and when you do it incorrectly, you're missing the best of it. You're missing the benefits because your application is not correct. Right. So I feel that it's a great thing to teach. And it's a knowledge that people know about foam rolling. They've heard about it. They maybe even do it, but most people do it wrong. And so, the feeling you get when you foam roll, I call it pokey.
Right.
My technical term. So, if you go to a massage therapist and they kind of press and you feel that kind of pokiness in that, and it's very localized, that's the feeling you'll get when you're on the foam roller. And, your intensity should be 7 or 8 out of 10. It shouldn't be anything more than that. And like you said, you should be able to breathe, and then you gently work some oxygenated blood into that space. And eventually that trigger point or that knot will release. But, research shows it's about 9 to 12 months before you can break down that fascia where that knot is, depending on how long it's been there. It's something new, much less rolling that you need, but it's also a thing you can do every day for 3 or 4 minutes. And it's healthy. So that's a great place for people to start as well. If they're worried about exercise, just foam roll. You're getting the blood in there and you're keeping the fascia healthy. Then you can see, how does it make you feel? You'll be more, if you have fibro, you're going to be more sensitive to the roller. So you want to make sure that you're very aware of that, but it doesn't mean that you can't foam roll. It's a fantastic modality for everybody.
I agree. Yeah, we do myofascial releases in therapy pools. Same sort of situation where you get, we used to call them AKA sticky bits, and you try to, you're just hydrating the fascia into that lengthening piece so they can start getting, again, movement, which is so important, as we know, right? And obviously the benefits of all movement, we know, is so critical. And maybe you could too explain if you'd like. I mean, I know a ton of them, but why don't you explain a few, just to say, here are just some jot note points on just benefits of moving.
Yes, the benefits of, okay, so number one, you feel good. Okay, you feel good. No, let me change. Number one, you can move.
Yeah.
Okay, you allow your body to continue to move. Okay, and as we get older, we have the fear of falling. So again, you're moving, your joints are strong, muscles are strong, body is flexible and the fascia is healthy. You're gonna have less risk of falls, right? You feel great. You reduce your stress. Your heart is healthy. Your blood pressure lowers. You have better sex. Okay, there's all these things. Like there's so many. You keep your weight down. You keep, like there are so many things that are a benefit of moving your body that I don't know why people don't do it. And I think people have this idea that, you need to do CrossFit or you have to do something really crazy to be healthy. No, that's not true. Do research. Look at the people who are practicing Tai Chi and Qigong and who are doing water, therapies like you do. They are healthy people, and they're not doing crazy CrossFit or running marathons or whatever. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I think sometimes people think it's either I have to go hard and make it crazy, or there's no benefit to doing it. And research is showing that, like, honestly, I trained for a half marathon last year, and I did more walking than running, which is fine. And I did foam rolling pre and post for training every day. I had almost zero muscle soreness. Like it was so minimal because the foam rolling gets the blood flowing. So that movement gets the blood circulating and it keeps it circulating, right? So it makes you happy. You feel good. Yeah. You look good. Like, I mean, everything's great about it. Like, there's no reason why people shouldn't move. And do you not want to, this is where mindset comes in. Do you not want to age well and be able to be healthy as you age? Or do you want to be, a 60-year-old person that's shuffling around because they can't do anything else? You got grandkids to play with. You have, friends and their kids. Like, don't you want to be active with all these people in your life? Or do you have to be the person that misses out? Like, that's kind of how I see it. You want to be part of things, or do you want to miss out on everything?
Yep, that's an excellent perspective. And I know, and I think for many people, it's either could be nervousness, that fear-based, I don't know if I can do it, and which also stems down to a limiting belief. So if we can slowly, again, get the accountability and support and just start. That's what we all, people need to do. I think that's fabulous. So folks out there, hopefully this has been interesting. I find it very interesting. And you know what, I think too, if you could, maybe again, show some love here. Woo, show some love. I think that would be awesome. Okay. And I really appreciate you discussing that and the options and what people can do. So I will be posting, your Facebook page below. And then again, as you said, people can certainly connect with you moving forward with that. And it is important because people, you need to be thinking about how can I create a healthier version of myself? Mm-hmm. Right? Absolutely. Because as I say to my daughter, I think it's going to be easy as you start going through that aging process, right? We want it to be, but in order to do that, then there's certain things that we have to do. So, right. So, you know what, is there anything else that you would like to add right now?
I think the one thing that I wanted to add, I encourage people, like you said, just move, just try. And if it doesn't work, try something else. Give it a week. Don't give up so quickly. And then the other thing I wanted to add, Jay, I always do free mobility assessments for people. Nice. So if anybody is interested, just send me a message, or connect with me on Facebook or Instagram, and we'll set something up. And they're completely free. And there's no obligation. You do the assessment with me, and then I'll give you some feedback. What's happening with your body? What are some mobility things? How are some ways that we can fix it? So you'll leave the assessment with a little bit of foam rolling that you'll learn. You'll learn a couple of stretches and a few exercises that you can just take with you and do on your own. Nice. So I offer that always for free. So if anybody's ever interested in that, please contact me. Everybody should have an assessment, because as your body changes, as you age, as things happen, you know, your body changes. So what was not a problem before maybe is a problem now, and imbalances change, right, as we go through our life. So please
That's right.
reach out. And if anyone ever has questions, I'm always happy to answer them.
Good. So you know what, friend, thank you so much for popping on. You are awesome. I'm going to give you a big high five into my camera. Are you ready?
Yes,
3,
I'm ready.
2, 1, go.
Woo! Awesome.
So thank you. And folks out there, you know what? If you would please comment, like, love, tag somebody, because sharing is caring. And, you know, it's so important because we never know what's behind the curtain of somebody else. We never know what's going on. And so it does become really, really important. So again, this hashtag collaboration is cool. Sharing, right, is caring. And we want to go hashtag, right, it's just on fit. I think that's a good one, right? Hashtag movement matters. Okay. So again, comment, make connections. That's what this is all about. And you know what? We will hopefully see you next week. So thank you so much for joining in today. Take care. Cheers. Okay, folks.